Well, before I posted the first video on YouTube, I considered what I would do if the channel ever became monetized. And I thought that the best thing would be to use the money to support retreatants, to maintain the retreat center, help people stay in retreat without having to look for money, and also to maintain the YouTube channel, because there's a lot of expenses, right? I mean, I spent over $1,000 on cameras and things in order to give some kind of basic level of quality to the videos that I produce. And in the 4 months since I started posting videos, then I've reconsidered this position several times, wondering whether it was ethically correct to take money from advertising, because I have my doubts about that. But then I noticed that the videos had advertising on them anyway, and I think that's something that's quite standard, and apparently it's something that's only going to increase on YouTube. And so in the end I decided that it would be, well, that there's no point in not taking the money and becoming monetized, and that I could use it for something useful, like I say, to help people stay in retreat. And I doubt that it'll ever be a lot of money. Well, then the other day we reached 1,000 subscribers, and also we achieved over 4,000 views, and so that means that we are now eligible for monetization. And so today I started monetizing the channel. And so I'd like a bit of feedback from you to see if this is a nuisance or a hindrance to your participation, and also what you think about it. I didn't enable membership. Membership is something that you use. You pay an extra fee or something, and then members are entitled to special content or special engagement. I wasn't so sure about that. It sounds like it's a bit of a money-making scheme. And also there's something called Super Chat that happens in live streams, and I guess this is a way of people kind of like showing their support with money and buying you a cup of coffee sort of thing. And again, I didn't enable that. I'm not sure about that. But maybe you could tell me what you think. And as I said before, basically it's difficult to get by in the world, and there's always compromises. I mean, I'd like the retreat center to be kind of permaculture and to be run without the use of fossil fuels, etc. But at the moment, then I've got a little Ford Ranger, a little truck, and it's something that's absolutely essential. I need to carry materials, you know, when we cut down these dead trees, and we have to haul the logs up to the retreat. And so there's just basically no other way except to have a compromise. And there will be compromises in terms of the ecological kind of aspects. You know, I'd like to run the place as a permaculture retreat, but really it's quite difficult to be totally self-sufficient. And as I said in previous videos, then even things like roofing is a consideration. Do you buy manufactured roofing, or do you try to use natural materials that are lying around in the forest? This is altogether possible. At some point you've got to weigh things up, because ultimately the goal is to enable people to practice, and practice has to be the main thing. So if you're running something totally permaculture, that means you're going to be spending a lot of time farming, basically. And if you're spending a lot of time farming, then you're going to have less time to meditate. So you've got to strike a balance, right? You have to do just enough to reduce your distractions to the mundane world, and at the same time you have to try to apply yourself as best you can to your spiritual investigation. So it's about striking a balance, and this is the case for anybody on the spiritual path. I mean, I often get questions from people and they ask, well, I'm a mother with children, I've got responsibilities, how can I practice? But really everything in the mundane world is a potential opportunity for practice. For example, when you have a family, it's an opportunity to practice loving kindness and compassion. But also, it's a great opportunity to practice patience and tolerance, because family life is difficult. And these are all, as I said, these are all spiritual opportunities. There is no separating the mundane from the transcendent. There is no ultimate without the provisional. We have to learn to relate to our appearances. We have to relate to that which arises and to our minds. And it's no good pretending that we have high views or high levels of realization. For example, there's no point in pretending that I can go without eating and sleeping. I need these things. And whatever you do, then there's always going to be some amount of compromise. So in some ways, I see monetization as a compromise. I'm not certain about advertising. It gives me a bad feeling in my stomach. I know that they try to use suitable adverts, things related to spirituality or yoga, etc. But at the end of the day, it's commercial, right? But you can't be on YouTube without getting involved in YouTube commerce, because it's full of advertising. And as I said, then they seem to put ads on your videos regardless of whether you choose to be monetized or not. So maybe it's just better to use that money for something useful. What I don't want to do is to post videos that I think are going to generate more funds. Because with that, then there's this great danger to try to appease people's kind of likes and desires and to avoid what they dislike. And unfortunately, as I said in the previous video, then it's your responsibility as a spiritual teacher to challenge your students. Because it's only on the basis of them being challenged that they're going to be able to progress on the spiritual path. We need to have our faults pointed out. I need to have my faults pointed out. And that's part of your responsibility. I have to say that I think I've probably learnt as much or more than you have from this interaction. It's been extremely beneficial to me. I mean, I don't have any doubts about how to meditate. Maybe that's just because I'm very proud. But what has helped me to do is to be able to communicate the spiritual path to others. Through this interaction, that I've met some people, and I have also kind of one-to-one conversations with a few people, and that's been extremely helpful to me, because it gives me a kind of inroad, an avenue by which I can sort of impart or share what I've learned on the spiritual path. And that's a sort of different skill. You could be a really great meditator, but a terrible communicator, and have no ability to help others simply because you don't understand the way other people think. That's always been something that's been a bit difficult for me. I'm a bit of an unusual character, and so sometimes I can seem to be a little bit unsympathetic to the needs of others, or I have difficulty in understanding where other people are coming from. But by this interaction, this kind of digital meeting place, then I've learned a lot about that. And I think that will be very beneficial in kind of aiding me to help others. So far, if I were to look back over the last 4 months, I'd have to say that actually I'm a lot more pleased than I thought I would be. I see a lot more potential and hope for this engagement. And so I need to thank you all. I need to thank you all for keeping an open mind, and also for sharing and participating in the discussion. Participating in a discussion is beneficial for oneself. It's beneficial to others that you engage in the discussion with, but also it's beneficial to the onlookers, the voyeurs, those who merely wish to sit back and listen to what has to be said. So all around, I think there's benefit there. The people it doesn't benefit are the people who just get angry or offended. Now, of course, if you don't engage, then you can't derive any benefit from it. It's up to the individual to choose whether or not they want to engage with our little community. So, anyway, I've started shooting videos for my father now. And so I'll post a link once we've done the first one. I mean, he's going to be talking in Korean. And you can use Google Translate. I don't know what kind of job it will do. He's basically just talking about cardio health, health and fitness and that sort of thing, in his attempt to counteract some of the medical disinformation that's online these days. It's quite a noble motivation for somebody who's in his 90s. But I can see how beneficial this process has been for him, because he's had to kind of prepare what he's going to say, and then he's also got to record the videos, which means he's going to engage more, and it'll be something that'll help him not to decline intellectually, maybe also physically. So all around, I think, beneficial. And he's got a lot of knowledge, by sharing what he has learnt in his long career as a medical scientist. Then it's possible he could benefit a lot of people. And in the end, that's what we have to do. We have to try our best to bring benefit to others, however we can, with whatever skills we have, through whatever we've learned. By sharing that, then we can benefit others. And along the way, then we have to make compromises. If we're a purist, and then we just disappear off into the mountains, then it's kind of limited what we can do, unless we're exceptional beings, like Milarepa, etc. But that's something that's very hard to achieve. So anyway, I think that's about all I had to say this misty morning. The snow has started to fall in the mountains, but so far down the lowlands here, it's all rain. Everything's wet and a bit cold and damp. So until next time, and see you later.